I don't think most people understand that, you know, communication happens in what's being said and what's not being said. Questioning the team that you have in whatever arena it is, it doesn't matter. You know, whether it's a family, business, these are principles. The reason why I'm sharing these with you is because these principles are universal. The reason why I'm going from Genesis to Revelation, these are principles for living. I don't think most people would argue with that these are principles for living. I don't think. It is possible some would believe or not believe that. But regardless of the messenger, me or anyone else, the principle is the Bible is filled with principles for living. Now, it has other roles. It's for your salvation. And if you really look at the word salvation, you understand it's for wholeness, which gets back to principles for living. The modern day Christians would say it's all about Jesus, who came to give you principles for living. Well, the Jews would say it's all about the Torah, which is principles for living. The principles for living. You know, how to treat yourself, dietary laws for some, for most, the optimal way of living, mentally, physically, spiritually. Principles for living. Priorities. What are our priorities? These things are mentioned all through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. Now, revelation the revelation of worshiping God, worship being lifestyle. Worship is a lifestyle. Praise is not. Praise is showing adoration and that sort of thing, but worship is a lifestyle, a way of being. Worshiping God. So, it's important to figure out who's sharing this information with you so that you can be sure that the principles being shown are valid, they're real, and they're going to have effectiveness. And maybe those aren't all the aspects of what we're looking for, but certainly we're looking for those things. We want something that is valid to my grandchildren, my brothers and sisters in Kenya, and whomever else, I'm not sure if it's who or whomever else this helps. We want the information we're sharing to be valid, to be real, not to be based on anything false, because we want it to produce in our life. Moses is such a leader. That's the reason why, across the board, most people recognize Moses as many things. But one qualified for sharing with us these principles. So when you're hearing instructions from Moses, you would think that most that believe in this way of thinking would hear him, move according to his instructions, give him the information that he needs to make a decision. This was not the case because the fragility of leading millions of people is just that. It's fragile. The fragility of leading just 12 is fragile enough. But then throw in the egos of 70 leaders. Of 24 princes. Up to this point, all feeling like they have a say. When in truth, all he asked for was a report. As a business consultant, when I'm talking to people about whatever it is that we're talking about, most of these people that I'm consulting with are type A personalities, and as we know, type A personalities, they're in full control. Humility is not going to be, at this level, is something in small business that is a part of the equation. In other words, it's something you have to consider. You have to measure their level of ability to receive information from you. Because their small business owners are always, in other words, it's not settled in them that you have the credibility. They don't make a determination that, yep, this person is credible, let's keep moving. They're making the determination along the way whether you're credible or not on many decisions as a business consultant that I've experienced. In the particular community, which is the descendants of American slaves, you have to work with their trust issues. Oftentimes, over the years, people have come back to me and said, even to me, they're not many times, they're not interested in moving forward with my advice because when it gets tough, and it always does get tough, it's part of the process. It's just part of how it works. And it's interesting because the tough shakes the trees. And then they want to run back to Egypt or back to their old way of being or old way of thinking because this new thing is costing them more than they're willing to pay. It doesn't change the instructions. It doesn't change the conquering of the land or the success of the business. What it takes for the business or the ministry or the political career or making it through school, they're all based on the same principles. When you can't understand the information, you have to break through that with certain principles so that you can master the information you need to pass a test, to hire people, to get the votes you need. Whatever the principle is, you got to work through it. A lot of small business owners or self-employed people do not want to work through it and will decide that this is an okay place to be. While saying they want this, they're not willing to pay the price for it. This is the challenge of Moses. Or this is one of the aspects of his challenges in Numbers 13 going into 14. Because I said to you, we're going to spend a little bit of time on this because this is pivotal. You don't understand that Moses is the boss here. Speaking in 2024 terminology, he is the one that has direct conversations with God, and that has already been challenged by his brother and his sister, Miriam and Aaron, in Numbers chapter 12. So God himself had to come face to face with them when he's mouth to mouth with Moses and explain to them, I speak directly to Moses. In other words, I'm not speaking. I may give you a prophecy here and there. This is Numbers 12. But I speak directly to Moses. In other words, Moses is my chosen man to get you guys to Canaan. Now, with all that said, it doesn't mean that the 12, the 24, or the 70 are not going to challenge him. It's okay to challenge leadership, but then there has to be humility to the leader. Numbers chapter 13. And Moses, in verse 17, and Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said unto them, so here are the instructions. Get you up southward and go up into the mountain. See the land, and see the land, what it and the people. See the land, see the people that dwell in therein, whether strong or weak. Whether strong or weak. Few or many. And what the land that they dwell in. Good or bad. And what cities that they dwell in. Tents or in strongholds. And what the land, whether it fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be ye of good courage and bring of the fruit of the land. Don't be scared. Go down there, pull some fruit. As we know, fruit, grapes, figs, and whatever else it was, pomegranate. Now the time of the first grapes. It's time for harvest. So they went up and searched the land. Those are the instructions. Can you imagine, let's just say you make $275,000, $280,000 a year. I'm giving you a testimony right now. You know, maybe today's money, that's what it would have been worth, because I'm giving you my testimony. Can you imagine sitting at a board table talking to the vice president, which I've done? This is my testimony. In my zealousness. And telling the board president, listen, I don't care how you believe. If you're not born again, you're going to hell. I mean, sitting at a boardroom, I'm regional sales manager, but he's vice president. And I felt so comfortable in myself and my income that I felt like I could just start having a conversation. Now, it's out of context, but to not honor him as the VP and keep my mouth closed, even though he was challenging me I gave him the fodder. I gave him the material he needed to go after me. It was my fault. I take full responsibility for losing a very, very good job. In losing that job, my income was slashed by the loss of territories. Then I built my income back up, and then they took more territory from me. Then he followed me around in the territory and talked to my people to find out about my customer service. I gave him a reason by bringing an evil report. Here's the evil report. It's your opinion. Moses did not ask for an opinion. My vice president didn't ask me for my opinion on his personal salvation. Just the bad move. I've made many bad moves in my life. But that was, I just started studying the Word. I don't know if I was in school of ministry yet. I think I was. I think I was in school of ministry. I was so excited about the Bible, about the new friends that I made. Now I remember Andre. And I thought this was my buddy, and the pastors were calling me friends. I was going to events. I was traveling. I felt powerful and accepted, like I really had a say. Numbers chapter 13. In verse 31 is where it starts, and this is where a lot of us miss it. Moses asked for something specific, and this is what they brought back. He says, but, strike that. Let's go back a little bit. They came back, brought the fruit, and we've read this before, but I want you to hear the intent behind it. I want you to hear where we miss it. In verse 25, and they returned from searching of the land of the 40 day after 40 days, 40-day excursion, checking the place out. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel. Now, when that happens, they meet in the center of the camp, around the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the wilderness of Paran and Kadesh, and brought back word unto them, to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit. And they told him and said, we came unto the land whither thou sent us, and surely it flows with milk and honey. Report's going well. And this, the fruit of it. Report's going well. Verse 28. Nevertheless, the people strong that dwell in the land. Report's still going well, except the attitude of the left, nevertheless. He didn't ask you for your opinion, your attitude on it. Just give me a report. Nevertheless, the people strong that dwell in the land. That's okay. They can be strong. That's why Moses was asking, strong or weak. And the cities walled. Okay, that's great. Strongholds. Very great. Moreover, we saw the children of Anak. Okay, you already said they were strong. Anak, okay, got it. The giants. Okay. The Amalekites dwelt in the land. Okay, these are smart people. Hunters, I believe. Okay. But that makes sense because they're in the land of Canaan. Okay. To the south are the Hittites. All right. The Jebusites, the Amorites. That makes sense. All sons of Ham. Okay. Grandsons, that sort of thing. Dwell in the mountains. All right. And the Canaanites dwell by the sea. All right. And by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Okay, now I wasn't asking your opinion, but it's nice that you're zealous. That's good. Caleb, great. But it took a weird twist here. But the man that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they stronger. I didn't ask your opinion. And now you're talking to all these people. Verse 32 shows that he wasn't asking for their opinion, because it says, and they brought up an evil report of the land. I wasn't asking your opinion. I just asked for a report. That's all I was asking for. Now I got to deal with your whispering, which comes with an opinion, not a report. A report, there is no whispering. See, when I speak transparently to people, it bothers some, because I'm just being transparent. I'm giving you a report. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm giving you my report. Whispering. Talking about a person personally, they can't do this, and they can do that, and they can do this. You know, and especially when there's defamation. That's what an evil report is. Wasn't asking for all that. You know, as a business consultant, I share with people who own small businesses, and again, over the years, ministries, small businesses, and whatever, because I studied the Word of God based on business principles. That's the angle I come from. You can't come from the perspective of all 12 tribes. You can try. I've tried it. I've tried looking at it from all angles. It's a life's work, because I'm not a master of all angles. So I settled on business. I tried looking at it from a Levitical point of view. I'm not a Levite. You have to know who you are. You have to understand who you are. That's how you bring credibility. Moses spent years understanding who he was. He brought credibility. He got him there to that point. The reason why God was concerned about stiff-necked people is because they always come with their defamation and their attitudes. And it makes it very hard for them to succeed, because they're blaming everyone else for their inability to succeed. I take no such attitude. I recognize what I've done wrong, and then I have to admit that and be transparent about it. I do not want to die in a desert experience or a wilderness experience in reality. Not interested. I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave such a legacy for my family. I want them to know that all things are possible for those who believe. All things are possible. If you can take the responsibility of accomplishing something just in your own little generation, because you want to be the Alpha and the Omega. You want to realize everything. But you don't want to take responsibility for your defamation, for your bad reports. No, you don't understand. It's tougher here in Kenya. It's tougher here in Ghana. It's tougher here in Somalia. It's tough. Yes, and it's pretty tough here in America because it's all dealing with people in their head space. All things are possible to those who believe, which is the reason why you have to be careful about who you team up with and who you're willing to believe. Are you hearing the instructions? Are you willing to pay the price to go into Canaan? If not, your generation will die off and another generation will enter, and the older people like the Calebs and Joshuas will make it in their older years. And you will just settle because it was Enoch's fault, or it was the Amorites' fault. It was too difficult for us. It was everybody else's responsibility. It wasn't my evil report that stopped us from going into the land of promise. CashApp $MrPaulDozier. CashApp $MrPaulDozier. We are on a journey from Genesis to Revelation. I do not know how long it's going to take to get there. But it is a glorious journey. Thank you to my grandchildren, my children, my family, those who look to me as pops, and my brothers and sisters in Kenya, and whomever else this helps. God bless you all, and thank you. Thank you so much for taking the journey with me.